feels like it's not the best year for Steve Harvey because the once beloved TV host is currently facing a huge amount of criticism for his past actions and may even face child mistreatment accusations. Apparently, Steve has been hiding behind his image of a family man and great father, and no one was even thinking of him traumatizing one of his kids. In the new shocking revelations, it was confirmed that there's evidence proving that Steve was not only beating his son, Winton, while he was living with him, but also doing some quite disturbing things in his presence.
With his private part hanging out, his dingling dangling everywhere, and he would call Winton in the bathroom.
Such a dangerous accusations can threaten Steve's position in the show business, and he doesn't find a way to hush this story with his money. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Celeb Live Channel. So, if you're still a fan of Steve Harvey and see him as a role model, this video may change your opinion about this man and finally show you his dark side. And this time, even the famous TV host himself cannot escape the closing grip of justice because it was revealed that the police still got the proof of Steve beating his son Winton, and this revelation freaked the TV host out because he had expected that the whole thing had been hushed a long time ago.
On this video, I have footage and tapes and videos and text messages and letters of all this.
Well, at least now we know why Steve's second wife, Mary, is so adamant to ruin his life and career. It has long been speculated why she was after him after their divorce and what potential reason can lead to her ugly fight with her ex-spouse for so many years. With the compelling evidence in her possession, it seems like Mary will have a real chance to stand against her ex, despite his wealth and fame. Well, it looks like Mary doesn't want any money or her lifestyle back as it was believed, and the whole reason why she keeps going after Steve is not even related to her. It's all because of her son, Winton's traumatic past, and Mary's only desire is to see her ex being punished for using brutal force against Winton. And if you ask many people, it seems like Winton has suffered the most from his dad's mistreatment, but it never occurred to the public that there are real reports that could potentially lead to Steve being pressed with charges even so many years after.
To get healed and deal with the big picture of this. And it is not two people having a very public argument.
As Mary has been trying to tell us for years, Winton has changed a lot after being mistreated by his dad in the childhood, and she even disclosed the details of Harvey's ungodly behavior. But let's dig into the juiciest details of this story because now, despite all threats and multiple lost courts, it seems like Mary possessed enough proof that she had already leaked to the police, and it was even stated by some sources that the investigation of this long-forgotten incident has begun. Looking at Steve Harvey's photos where he poses with his family, you would never guess how many skeletons this man hides in his closet. And despite being accused for mistreating his own children, and even multiple statements from his kids, he had somehow retained his image as a nice family man. It could have stayed the same way, but now, thanks to civil rights activist Essie Berry, who had decided to work with Mary, we get enough evidence on Steve's past actions that could stain his spotless reputation forever.
That doesn't represent who we are. If I was angry, the time for me to strike out would have been doing the actual...
Because of her work with Mary, Essie Berry herself was stalked, harassed, and even threatened. As she stated, her life was in jeopardy because of truth, and she was done being silent by powerful men like Steve, who think they can buy everything, even the silence of certain individuals because they have deep pockets. Essie Berry uploaded a huge video on YouTube, talking about her work with Mary and spilling some dark secrets of Steve's past and the way he was truly treating his biological son, Winton. And it's so hard to believe that behind this facade of a smiling and joking comedian, there was a demon in disguise who could easily cross a line whenever he wanted. I guess Steve's people already work on decreasing the amount of harm that could be potentially done to his reputation, and despite his path not always being smooth and easy, it feels like he managed to weigh the way out of any bad situation with his hard work and determination. He enjoyed success in the entertainment industry for decades, while his ex-wife Mary was struggling to share her story and expose his true colors. But now, with new evidence coming to see the light, it seems like Steve wouldn't be able to weasel his way out this mess, and the sources say that he is deeply concerned about Essie and Mary united front and the proof they had on him beating his son. Mary has been vocal about this situation for a long time, and there already was the initial investigation, after which Steve Harvey was cleared of all charges of potential child abuse. And as Mary stated, there was something fishy in the way the court has handled the situation, and according to her, Steve used a lot of resources, including bribery and pressure, to be cleared from these accusations.
Of power and authority, and he used that in the court.
According to Mary, she already tried to warn the police about her ex's abusive behavior, but it didn't work. As a mother, Mary was simply horrified and shocked to learn that Steve had hit their son Winton with a belt, then a paddleboard, and she immediately alerted the authorities, showing the proof of numerous injuries on the child's body, including bruises on a child's body, including bruises on his buttocks, thigh, and legs. The boy also shared that he had trouble urinating for days after the beating. However, after a full investigation, Harvey was cleared of the allegations, and it was stated that based on the information obtained, the child does not appear to be at risk. The case is closed without further investigation. And here's where this story goes wild because, as Mary said, all evidence magically disappeared from the police department as if it had never existed. Well, some people say that Mary had invented the whole story because she felt bitter after her divorce and the fact that Steve was cheating on her with another woman, and even decided to leave her to marry his mistress. However, in fact, Mary knew that her marriage with Steve was doomed long before she was handed the divorce papers. And as a faithful woman who loved her family and put her family needs over her personal ones, she was hoping to mend their family boat.
There were many days when I thought I was over, and I wanted it to be over.
So Mary wasn't bitter about Marjorie, and everything this woman wanted is to have a nice family. But the reality hit her hard when she was handed divorce papers all of a sudden. And what horrifies me the most in the story that Steve had eventually won custody of their son shortly after the divorce. And God only knows in what atmosphere the child was growing. While Mary did her best to wage war in court and get her son back, she did not have Steve's legal team. And the worst part, that she couldn't do anything about the situation because it's impossible to fight a man with such an amount of wealth and power as Steve.
Because I'm a nobody. You know, his lawyers came in, his team of lawyers and his entourage.
Well, it's true that money can buy a lot of things. And considering that Steve is a public figure with a certain established reputation, it was so easy for him to make his wife look like a crazy and vindictive witch who wanted to wrongly accuse a good man. Many fans are happy that Mary has finally found a way. Make the story public, and there's another person who has the evidence and can work with the police. Probably, it will be enough to have the whole investigation reopened. And that's why Steve is freaking out, trying to find a way to hush his wife and stop the proof from being leaked to the public. As one person commented, "I'm glad Steve is getting found out about his son Winton and the bad treatment of Mary Harvey." And another user added, "He has been trying for years to clean up his image with all the hidden court cases against him." Now, Essie not only backs up Mary's story about the beating, but she also revealed more horrifying details of their life as a family. And apparently, Steve may be facing way more serious accusations than just hitting his child. As Essie said in her video, she just wants everyone to hear the story because Mary's too repressed by Steve's past actions, and she even served time in jail for speaking the truth. The former wife of the entertainer was promptly incarcerated after a judge found her in contempt of court on a gag order in place regarding her bitter custody battle with Steve Harvey. Despite her serving 30 days behind bars, she was still talking. In fact, she managed to give an interview live from her jail cell just a day after being locked up. According to friends, Steve was doing his best to keep Mary from seeing their son, Winton, and hide the truth about his criminal activities, so he decided to lock up the mother of his child for speaking about their relationship. And probably after that, Harvey's family had a nice chat about Mary spending Christmas behind the bars while eating their fancy dinner. But now, with Essie Berry on her side, Mary seems to be more confident in her battle against Steve. And unlike many representatives of the justice system who was silenced with either money or threats, Essie is adamant to share the truth.
A man like Steve Harvey was married to Mary Harvey, and look how he did her. Look how he treated her child.
Well, you clearly understand, guys, that going after a man like Steve Harvey with unshakable reputation in the press and media is a hopeless case, but Mary, to her honor, got up after every blow and tried again. This courageous woman had suffered a lot looking for people who, for once, wouldn't be taking Steve's side in this story and stop seeing her crazy and jealous ex-wife and begin looking at her as a mother whose child was taken away from her into a toxic and potentially traumatizing environment. It's been a hard step for Mary to keep looking for justice and being far away from her son at the same time, looking at the pictures of Marjorie hugging and kissing her child instead of her. There's nothing more heartbreaking for a loving mother than not being able to be with her baby. And due to Steve, Mary was stripped of such an opportunity. She said, "Am I angry? Yes, I missed 6 years of my son's life, and I can't get those years back." Despite her huge emotional distress and humiliation, Mary never gave up. And boy, a fight against a famous person when you are not a celebrity herself, it must have been a nightmare for this woman, as she kept losing and losing again because she didn't have the same influence and power. So, despite her gag order, she began posting a series of videos on YouTube in hope to get enough support from the public and maybe find a civil rights activist who could help her expose Steve's psychological and physical abuse. And that's how she found Essie Berry. While both Mary and Winton are too traumatized to share what they had experienced while living with Steve under the same roof, Essie got the full right to represent the victims of the TV host's sadistic behavior, and she stated that Winton won't be pressing any charges against his dad because he is scared of the consequences of this.
Winter's not going to say nothing about his father because, one, he's scared to death of him. Two, they saw what he did to Mary.
But since no Mary, neither Winton couldn't say a single thing. Mary was hushed with a gag order, and Winton was too afraid to go against his mighty and powerful dad. Steve felt so untouchable and invincible, thinking that the dark secrets of his ugly past would be hidden forever. But it seems like Essie's words unnerved him a lot, and now he is afraid that Barry would go straight to the police with all the evidence of his actions. There is also strong belief that Steve was bribing the media, so all materials and information that could potentially stain his reputation were deleted without a trace, and instead, the press is full of praising articles about Steve and his new family. And apparently, the famous TV host tries to pretend that he didn't even have a family before meeting Marjorie and adopting her daughter, Lori. As Essie says, Steve must be going not to his dressing room for get ready for a new episode of his show, but straight to jail, and she swore that she would do anything to make that happen. Now that she has all the evidence against him and even know his tricks, like bribing the court to send the emails to the wrong address, she is going to destroy him for ruining Mary's life and traumatizing Winton.
And what they did, so I could not fight that restraining order, they sent all the mail to the wrong address.
As Essie says, she is currently looking for that allegedly lost police record proving that Winton was beaten, and it may shed a lot of light on Steve's true colors. And if it surfaces, well, no amount of money would save the comedian from jail. While it's hard to imagine that a person with such a stellar reputation as Steve Harvey can be that cruel and even beat his own son, it looks like he is not getting away with it this time. And with the police records proving this abuse, Steve is panicked, and who knows, maybe it's another game. He plays before he thinks of another way to silence everyone who is aware of his atrocities. Many fans can't wait for him to go down because Mary and Winton both deserve justice. As one person commented, prayers for the children of Steve Harvey's. I am a survivor. Please join and support the investigation into this trauma his son faced at the hands of his abusive father, Steve Harvey. And another user added, I never thought that he was as great person who is just faking the message that comes out of his mouth because he doesn't give me anything to believe that he is not just playing with everyone. Well, it seems like despite his connections, wealth, and the ability to avoid consequences of his dubious actions, this time, the legendary Steve Harvey is cornered with hardcore proof, and he will have to pay for what he had done to his son. And what do you reckon? Is this all just a publicity stunt? Or did Steve actually freak out because of his potential jail time? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to know what you're thinking. And in the meantime, check my other videos about Steve Harvey's messed life. He's not that nice guy and family man that you see on TV. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and I promise to be back very soon